Guys, we traded SIDU Space today, SIDU. And this thing was up over 380% today as it made its move from $1.40 all the way up to 680. Let's take a look. First thing I do is I pull up FinViz and I take a look at some of the metrics of this company. So SIDU Space is an aerospace and defense company. They came out with news that they had a partnership with SpaceX. So anything to do with Elon Musk seems to be running lately. You can see here that they have a float of 8.3 million shares. So it's definitely a low floater, which means that if there's any supply demand issues, we could see a runner. Just a small company. It's only $43 million market cap. And they trade an average of 600,000 shares per day, which isn't much, but today they traded almost 300 million shares. So keeping that in mind, let's take a look at what was happening here pre-market. So this thing opened up and immediately had some really nice price action. We made a high of around 260 pre-market, which kind of became the line in the sand there for any move higher. This was the area I was paying special attention to see if we were going to break out of that and have a nice move higher. So one of the things with breakouts is I like to see the strength of the price action surrounding that key area. So we got our high of 260, and about an hour or so after we open up, we test that high and we pull back. Now, is it going to break out or is it going to pull back under VWAP? How's it going to react here? Well, after we tag VWAP, we see this really nice breakout candle here on heavy volume. So these prior volume bars here, you can see how we're trading, 2 million shares, 1 million shares, 800,000 shares. Volume is kind of just dying off. And you think that maybe that's it for the day because we tagged the resistance area and pulled back from that. But then we get this really powerful breakout candle on almost 5 million shares. There's your entry right there in the 270s. So if you got the 270s entry, where do you set your stop? Number one is where are you going to set your stop? I think it's reasonable to say you can set your stop just right below the low of this breakout candle. If it's going to be a powerful move higher, price should not come back and break the lows of that. You could set your stop below VWAP as well in the 230s. That's okay too. But I think being that this is such a powerful breakout candle, I think it's probably better to have a tighter stop in the 240s. So take your entry in the 270s. If you had the 240s stops, you're probably risking maybe 30 to 40 cents per share, meaning you got to get 80 plus cents per share as your profit target, which would put you up in the 350s. So we did have this really nice move higher, but it didn't follow through right away. But notice how the volume is acting here. We've got heavy volume on the breakout, and then we just kind of pull back and consolidate higher above the previous resistance point. So the question is this going to hold? And it's always good to see heavy volume on the breakout and then just a little bit lighter volume on the pullback. And then we see another heavy volume breakout. So this is your second entry. as you see this really nice strong candle here over the threes. There's your second entry. From that point, we can move our stop loss up to just below this area of consolidation. And remember, our first target for selling shares was in the 350s. Well, you got that right in here. Sell half of the position and then maybe sell another quarter on the first candle to break the low of the previous candle. You see how powerful this move is? None of these candles break the low of the previous candle until we get into the 360s, 370s. So sell another quarter of the position and let the rest ride for a bigger move. Later in the day, you can see how we pull back again on just lighter volume and price is holding up. We've got a little bit of a resistance area at 320. And then price just kind of pulls back to that area and starts to hold and build off of that area again. So is this thing going to go higher? Well, we can just draw in our trend lines. And you see this little wedge happening here. This thing breaks out again on heavy volume. Well, there's another trade. There's another reason to enter. And maybe we can get more out of this. And of course, that's exactly what happens. We have a breakout candle. And we also have heavier volume than previous candles. This one's a 3 million share candle. And we get a nice move into the high fours. So we can just do the same thing we did down here. Take your entry, set your stop loss at the low of this breakout candle. In this particular case, your entry is maybe around $4, maybe in the 380s. Anywhere in the 380s to the fours is reasonable for entries. Set your stop loss in the 360s. So you're dealing with a 20 or 30 cent stop loss. You need to get 60 cents out of that to make it worth it. Yes, it's possible we can get 60 cents out of this move. And then look for reasons to exit the trade. First candle to break the low of the previous candle is this one right here at 460. Sell half here, sell another quarter. If we close below the 9 EMA, hold the last quarter for another move higher. And this thing gives another trade. As you can see, we start to build another consolidation area on lower volume than previous. So we've got another trend line, got another wedge breakout, or you can call it a flag pattern breakout. Same thing again. We've got a very strong breakout candle on heavy volume and a nice move higher. So enter the position as we break out over this consolidation area and the previous high. Entry is in the fives. Set your stop below the breakout candle and then look for reasons to exit. Sell half of the position on the first candle to break the low of the previous candle right in the 620s. And then look for reasons to exit on the rest of the position. So we make this little consolidation area here. Then we finally break below here. So that's probably a reasonable place to take the last portion of your trade off there. So very nice moving stock today. Very nice price action. Picture perfect. Breakouts, consolidations, breakouts, consolidations, breakouts, consolidations, breakouts all day. So this is something we look for every day. And you can make your entire career just on this simple pattern. If this was the only pattern you traded and looked for every day, every week, you can make an entire career and be very successful off of trading something like this. So hopefully this was entertaining, and hopefully you learned something. Stay tuned for the next video.